nobody's business. Jason Tatum putting up 44, not so shabby himself in a Celtics win. Curry went for 30 or more points for the 10th straight game, the first player age 33 or older to do this since Kobe Bean Bryant. Curry saying this season's required something a little bit different. I'm trying to meet that moment. It's a fun brand of basketball, just trying to put wins together with it. Stephen A., is Steph the greatest offensive weapon in the NBA?
I believe he is. He doesn't have a post game, obviously. He is the greatest shooter God has ever created. Plain and simple. This year, without Klay Thompson, with him being the focal point because they don't really have anybody else to depend on offensively. I'm talking about to depend on. I'm not talking about a specific night Andrew Wiggins will drop a few points or Kelly Oubre or somebody. No. I'm talking about consistently. He is your offensive weapon. He is averaging 30 on 49% shooting from the field and 42.7% from three-point range, hitting 92.2% of his free throws. This dude is a sniper extraordinaire, the greatest sniper in the history of basketball. And when you consider that he can shoot from anywhere on the floor, left, right, or the top, wing, or the key, 20, 30, 40 feet away from the basket with regularity, there's nothing to talk about. When you consider what he brings to the table on that level and the efficiency this year without Klay Thompson, I just can't say enough that this dude, you can't foul him. You can't foul him. And when you go out there to contest his shots, you got to guard yourself from touching him or whatever because he's money from the free throw line. He is a marksman, the likes of which we have never, ever, ever seen. And that is why I say he's the greatest offensive weapon. He got a handle. Kyrie Irving got a better handle. You see spot-up shooters that can shoot like that. Can't shoot off the dribble like him, no. You consider the multitude of weapons that he brings to his arsenal just to launch a shot. It's a shock when he misses threes, especially any open threes. This dude is just on another level, and that's why I say right now he's the greatest offensive weapon. Not the greatest player, but in terms of offensive weapon, because of his marksmanship, and how he frightens defenses, I'd say yes. Right now.
I respectfully disagree. I can't argue with those points. I think that's all true, and he is in the conversation. So I have to respectfully disagree with this one. I got 3 names for you, Stephen A. Number 1, Kevin Durant. Played on the same team with Steph Curry. Let's leave the defense alone for a second. They really ran the offense through KD. He was the best offensive player on the team. He's also better defensively, and I realize it's because he's 7 feet tall and has a 7'6" wingspan. You go through all the stats when we talk about KD. But the fact is they were on the same team, and we could see with our own eyes KD was offensively better than Steph. So I got to put KD ahead of Steph. The second guy is James Harden. Now, Harden cannot shoot it like Steph. And I'll agree with you that just because you say, these two guys can both shoot, doesn't make them the same. Steph shoots better than anyone who ever lived, and that's worth a lot. And the ball doesn't stick with Steph, so you can have a nice fluid offense with Steph. Everything you said about him is true with his handles and everything. But Harden can do some things on offense. You mentioned post up, which Steph can't do because he's too light, Harden can do some things that Steph can't do. And Harden has shown this season that he conducts an offense better than anyone except maybe LeBron. That includes Steph and Luka and everyone. What we saw from Harden now. And offense is not just about scoring or shooting. It's about the overall offense of the team. So that makes Harden, who can also shoot it from outside, step back and take 10, 11 a game and hit a whole bunch. Not as much as Steph, but that's just one part of his game. You look at Harden like that, even him missing games now, that's not like Harden. Harden's been more durable than Steph. But when he's on the floor as an offensive weapon this year, I have to give him the edge. And then finally, there's Damian Lillard. Stephen A., everything Damian Lillard does on offense that makes you go, wow, Steph does a little bit better. I'll give you that. And Steph also showed Damian Lillard the way. Steph is the trailblazer, and Lillard is derivative of him, meaning Steph had the big imagination. I could shoot from way back there. Steph's one of the most influential players who ever lived. So I'm not saying Lillard copied him and did even better than Steph. He's kind of playing Kobe to Steph's Jordan in that way. However, Lillard is the most clutch player in the game, Stephen A. And the higher leverage moments when you're playing offense, that means something to me. I saw Steph, and he played well against her. He won a game against Kawhi in Toronto when they were shorthanded. That was amazing, Steph. But I've also seen him in a Game 7, fate of the universe on the line, greatest record of all time, greatest half-court offense of all time. He's conducting the offense at home, fourth quarter, Game 7. They didn't score a single point in the last 4 minutes and 22 seconds. I don't forget that. So comparing him to Lillard, I maybe give Lillard the edge because when it matters most, I trust him a little more. Those are three names. Steph's in the conversation, but I can't put him above those three guys.
You're wrong on all three. Number one, I love Lillard, and Lillard would be second to Steph Curry. He's a career 37% shooter from three-point range, a career 43% shooter. And even though we've seen Lillard come on as of late and we've seen him hit many clutch shots in his career, there's also times where he's been swept in the playoffs by New Orleans with Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, and others, where we ask questions about where were they or whatever. You know, Lillard's a top 2 candidate for league MVP right now. I hope he wins it. He's a great brother, a great player, you know, and I'm rooting for him. But make no mistake, he's not Steph Curry when it comes to that. Not to mention the fact that as great as Lillard is, he doesn't move without the ball the way that Steph Curry does. And that obviously compromises defense because they got to have their head on a swivel because you're looking for where Steph Curry is. You always seem to know where Damian Lillard is. He just makes those shots. So there's something to be said about the ability to make others better by what you do in terms of your movement and how you distract defenses so it can open up opportunities for other people. That's why I wouldn't give Lillard the edge there. When you talk about James Harden, he shoots 44% from the field for his career, 36% from three-point range. We know that he holds the ball, even though he hasn't done that this year, and has shown an ability to really be selfless and really make liars out of a whole bunch of people who will label him as such. The bottom line is, again, the impact that he has on an opposing defense isn't the same because even though you can't stop him, although he's capable of making other people better, the career has shown through the 8 years or so in Houston that even though there are times when he did that, the bottom line is he was ball dominant and he did what he did. When you look at what Steph Curry has been doing consistently, not only is he your point guard, but you run the offense through him, not just for him to run plays for other people, but because of his movement, again, you do it for him as well. And this is what he causes, the havoc that he wreaks on defenses because of his movement without the basketball and his marksmanship. And then, of course, there's Kevin Durant. We all know that Kevin Durant was the best player on the Golden State Warriors. We all know he's a better player than Steph Curry right now when healthy. We get all of that. But when you talk about the greatest offensive weapon, what's the one knock that you can place against Kevin Durant? It's a lack of aggression. Steph Curry is shooting over 20 shots a game right now. Kevin Durant has shot over 20 shots a game twice in his career. The lack of aggression, the lack of assertiveness, clearly he wants to do things the right way, and that's a priority. But because he has been somebody that was willing to defer on far too many occasions and was devoid of that level of aggression per se, that's one of the reasons that we questioned whether or not he was number one or even above LeBron or whatever, because there were too many moments and too many times when Kevin Durant didn't call for the ball like he did that time with Draymond Green against the Clippers when they got into it on the sideline thereafter. We didn't see Kevin Durant on a lot of occasions calling for the ball and demanding it when time allowed or when moments allowed. So those are the kind of things that get counted against you as well. I still say Steph Curry, in terms of all the ingredients that come with it, he's number one right now.
All right, we're going to have more on Steph later and that MVP conversation. All I know is Klay Thompson's watching him pile up all these shooting accolades, and he'll be coming this fall. That is for sure, fellas. We're going to have some fun Monday night. Stephen A., you'll be a part of it. The NBA doubleheader for you on ESPN and the app. Steph and the Dubs in Philly to take on Joel Embiid and the Sixers at 7:30 Eastern. That's a good one. Then out to Staples. Rudy Gobert leading the Jazz against the Lake Show. Our coverage starts with Stephen A.'s pregame Sports Center. That is at 7 Eastern. We have an update on Tom Brady's surgery, plus who is he putting more pressure on? That bad man, Aaron Rodgers, or Patrick Mahomes? The fellas debate it. Plus, YouTube star Jake Paul with the KO over former world champ Ben Askren. Wait till you hear Max and Stephen A. on this. First Take, be right back.